First of all, I want to thank the church and everybody here and those watching who prayed and also financially gave. What a blessing it was. And it was a great mission trip. The Lord put it together. Those who went with us, we were truly blessed. It was a great team. It was a great team effort. So God was good. So if we can just go right to the slides. Okay, this is the currency that they have. Okay, the currency is called Cordovas. Okay, the exchange rate is 36.6 per dollar. So basically, that $10 that you see up there is not even a dollar. So I'm going to pass what the money looks like. It actually looks like Monopoly money. It looks like wax paper on it. But I'm going to pass it around. You guys can see what the money looks like. And the coins actually are plastic, so. We got there Saturday, midday. So we got to see a few sites, but Sunday morning we went to a church, and this was the church we went to. We had a few guests there. We had a couple roosters, some dogs. Really interesting. And also, everything there is built with cement. There is no, per se, wood, because termites will eat it. So everything is made out of cement, cinder blocks, and everything. So this was the church we went to. If you can go to the next picture. And things aren't in order, so we'll come back to the church. This is where we were working at, and I'm going to say a lot. So this was the place that we were called to work at. And it's a place they're bringing ministers in to teach and preach the gospel. They're going to get their degree to be a pastor, and they're probably going to bring 40 to 50 in a year there, and they're going to send them throughout South America. So it's just not going to be in Nicaragua. So this is going to be the word of God going throughout South America. So whoever gave your prayers and all that, you're a part of this. So, but anyway, there was trees growing up between two buildings there, and nobody wanted to cut the trees down. So Jeremy, myself, and there was this other guy with us, Lou. We actually cut two trees down that could went either way on the buildings, and they were actually gum trees. But they look like a maple tree. You can go ahead there. Next slide. Oh, okay. This is us, and you can see a gentleman up in a tree there. But we had to go up and we had to delimb the tree. And at the time, we did not have a chainsaw. We had to use a machete, and we had to delimb the trees with the machete so the limbs would not fall on the building that we were building for the pastors or the other, like, rental place for next door. And we had one guy up on the roof there. He was delimbing, but we had to actually go up the tree and delimb all them branches before we could cut the tree down with machetes. And the temperature was roughly 90 to 92 degrees and high humidity. So we took a break quite a bit, swinging the machete in that. So this was like the first couple of days. Go ahead. Out of them trees we cut down, you waste nothing down there. And there was an electrical wire that came across, that went across the, I'm going to call it the college for the pastors to come in. We had to make 4x6 posts. We got a chainsaw finally, and we had to make 4x6 posts with the chainsaw. I think we made 3 or 4 of them out of them, and we took a rope, we put it in paint, and made a chalk line, and we actually cut. There was one there to the right, and there's a couple other ones, and they might look a little uneven, but they came out pretty decent. And we made 4x6, and then we're going to coat them with diesel fuel and put them in the ground so the termites wouldn't eat them for temporary. But you waste nothing down there. So, next picture. There's the 4x6 posts we made. Next. There I am swinging a machete. Them things are quite dangerous, by the way. And I don't usually wear shorts. Anybody knows me, I don't wear shorts. Next picture. That power brush right there, we would burn right here. That power brush got 3 months to 4 months of security for free down there. They bartered for the security guy to take that power brush for his wife to go along and cook alongside the road. He was going to come get that, and the guy is going to work for 3 months at that place. I'm calling it a college for free to guard the place that we would just burn. And also, there was iguanas in there in that power brush. The 2 kids we took with us, they were actually chasing the iguanas, and the workers actually come down. They were chasing the iguanas because they're a delicacy to them. But anyway, go ahead. That's just the limbs, the power limbs that we macheted off there, off the brush. Go ahead. Everything down there is fenced in or whatever, and there's security guards everywhere, every block. And they don't usually they don't have guns and that, but they carry machetes. And if you hear somebody trying to break in, they usually get cut by a machete. And they have, when they work, they use whistles. When they're out security, they use whistles. They have certain whistle tones, you know, they know how to blow their whistles. You're laying in bed at night, you'll hear 3 whistle beats, and that means there's somebody coming around the curve to watch. But everything's fenced in, and you got to watch. And everything's pretty much steel roofed down there. Go ahead. Okay, that's that's Anna. That's our niece. And she's painting. To the right, we primed it first, and then we painted. Some of the workers was inside priming. We were the tail end down there. A lot of people was before us. They laid block. They did the cinder. They did the flooring. They did the ceiling, drywall. They put the windows in. We got to see the finishing touch. And next month, they're actually doing the grand opening of it. So praise God, we got to see the finishing touch of it, and it's just an awesome to see. But the left side is the true color of it. The right side was what we did when the first few days was priming. But next picture. Again, that was one of the rooms we painted. Next. Okay, I said we waste nothing. They said to Jeremy and myself, everybody knows Jeremy Puckett, can you 2 make benches with what's left over the wood? Because you waste nothing. So we put some benches together. We made 3 benches together for them, and they're going to sit outside on like a cement walkway for the pastors after they come out of their classrooms. and they're going to coat them with something, but that's the gum tree. And but there's 3 nice benches we made sort of with a chainsaw, and they got us a little sander. We sanded them down, and again, you waste nothing. So, and the salary down there is roughly 15 to 20 bucks a day, $300 to $400 a month. So, but next one. Okay, this caught my attention because my boy does masonry, Steve. This was right next door. It's all part of like the college area, but this here, their septic systems is new to them down there, and this is going to be a 3-tier septic system. This is 20 feet deep and probably 35 to 40 feet wide. And what you see coming up is rebar. They're putting the cement down through. They dug out by hand. The first few days we were there, we're doing these trees and we see dirt flying up, you know, and they're actually got spade shovels. They're digging this all. They have no backhoes, no nothing. They're mixing cement. They're handing the buckets down some cement. They have no cribbing. You know, OSHA would have shut us down. But that's how they work. A couple of them had sweatshirts on, and I'm thinking, that looks like me over there working. But, I mean, that's the way they work. They uncovered some volcanic rock over there because we were close to a volcano. Matter of fact, that's the next one. I actually brought 10 pieces of that home. So, but anyway, next picture. This is another one right next door. We had to actually be careful when we walked down in. But what I was found interested in is the different layers, how we have usually 1 or 2 different layers. They got like 6 or 7 different layers. And I tried to get the missionary to explain to me the different, like how we have sandstone and stuff like that. He wasn't sure. So, but anyway, that was just my curiosity. But anyway, next picture. This is one of the ambulance. This is their normal ambulance they have down there. It looks like a Jeep to us, but they're third world country, maybe fourth world, but it's the way they are down there. I mean, it just looks so primitive. Next. This is what I found really interesting. Our van driver, every morning, he would take us to the site, but on the way, he would stop and he would get his breakfast, and he would sit there all day for us. And they would pay him just to sit there, because if one of us would get hurt or if we needed to go anywhere, he would just take us. But anyway, if you see in her right hand, she is has a baggie in there, and she's filling up a drink. They don't have cups over there because they're so poor. She actually has a cut-off, like, bottle in there, and she dips in, she puts it in a baggie and like a straw, and she ties the baggie, and that's what you get to drink. That's your drink alongside the roads down there. They don't have cups. Next. There's Jeremy and myself sitting on our bench we're so proud of. We were actually happy to sit down and take a break. Next. Okay, this is the front side of, I called Future College, which is going to be opening here shortly. And I think there's like 8 rooms, and this is phase 1 of the college. There's going to actually be a phase 2 coming off this way, and there'll be a phase 3 coming off this way. But phase 1 is almost complete, and like I said, they're having an opening in October. But I just wanted to get another view of it so you guys could see. Next one. This was really interesting. This is a shower head, and it's an electrical shower head, and the water comes in through that. And actually, two of our guys got shocked. And you can't see on the shower head, there's a cold, medium, and hot. And of course, our guys wanted cold showers. And you know, on me, I wanted the hot. But anyway, they would get in there and they'd mess with it, but they'd forget and they'd grab a hold of that bar up there. And they got shocked. I mean, it's actually an electrical shower head. Next. This is how your water gets warm down there. It gets heated from the top, and then it goes down into the big, I guess probably, I don't know how many gallon that barrel is, but it's a storage tank, but it stays warm all the time. So they don't need, you know, heating elements like we have back here. Next. This is outside, again, fenced in. We had security guard inside, and we had security guards out around the perimeter. Everybody does. It's beautiful. We had that's a banana tree to your right. It's amazing to see how bananas are grown. And then we had coconut trees and all that. But next. This is on one of our excursions. People, they can't afford garbage bags, so they just throw their trash out along the road. And you can't really see, but that's cows there. And they're really malnourished. They'll take them out along the roads. They'll tie them up, or they'll just leave them roam because that's where a lot of the grass is. And they'll just let them feed. And that's a couple of your cows there. Next. Again, there's a lot of your garbage laying along. I compare it to Philadelphia, but next. This is a normal house. It's usually, a normal house is probably the size of our break room that go in the back there, maybe a little bit bigger. They're not much bigger. And the roofs are always elevated, probably 12 inches, to where the rain can come in. It usually rains once or twice a day down there, and the heat can go out. Steel roof, usually always cement. But next. This caught my attention. We actually stopped and we had pizza on one of our last days down there. We went out. It was called our fun day. It was our Saturday we went out on. But the motorcycles down there, they don't care. I mean, they just don't. There's probably 10 to 1 on vehicles, 10 motorcycles to 1. They'll go right in between your vehicles. I mean, there's basically, the only thing they care down there is if they're registered. And what they'll do is they'll have a truck, the police will have a vehicle, a big truck, and they'll have a checkpoint. If your motorcycle is not registered, they'll put your motorcycle on a truck and they'll take it and you got to walk. Other than that, motorcycles have no rules down there. And there's so many motorcycles down there, and you can't see the bicycles. But the bicycles down there, some of the bicycles we'd probably get out of Elias's junkyard. I mean, it's such a poor country. Next. This was at Lake Leon, and this is one of their volcanoes. And you can't, this was at one time, excuse me, a mountain that had a real top ridge. But many, many, many years ago, it erupted. And when it erupted, not from the lava, but from the pressure, it threw rock out into Lake Leon. And all that rock in that, it formed 365 islands. And out in this Lake Leon, people buys these islands. There's actually one there for sale now, 600,000. I was going to talk to my wife, but um, anyway, they're really nice. But anyway, you can go to the next one. There's that's the same volcano. Here's one of the islands, and what caught my attention, this gentleman here is from Texas. And if you would go around this little island, beautiful. He's put a lot of time and money. He just actually moved into this island, but we went out in a boat just to see some of this stuff. Go ahead. This is one of the Catholic churches we went to the last day. This was, I believe, built in 1801. It was up in Leon, Nicaragua, and it's one of the oldest churches. It was, and Leon is actually battled to be the capital of Nicaragua, but it lost out in the early 70s. But anyway, this was a beautiful Catholic church. I mean, just the way it was structurally built. And anyway, I'll let you go on. Go ahead. This is in Granada, I'm sorry, but the Lakes Leon. Again, there's the church. That's Danny and myself. He was just the missionary that's been called down there. He's got many years. He's actually from Ohio. Next. This is the college we'd walk over to every day to eat. And the college is so beautiful. And it's not a college like we would think of. It would be almost like many little wee huts built that you would go over and you just go into to study. And anyway, go ahead. This is in the college. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's back at the where we were cutting the trees down. That's in between the two buildings. That's the trees we cut down right there. Go ahead. Yes, and that's me sweating. A couple of the guys working, painting. Okay, you can see the one guy up there, I'm not sure who it was, using the machete. We were macheteing the limbs off. I didn't get up there. Okay, I shared this with my wife. I was hoping one would get in my suitcase. These were iguanas, and boy, they were quick. We slept with them. They were everywhere down there, and they were cute, actually. And they sound like a dog. They bark. It's really neat. Next. I know she did. Okay. This is the church I got to speak in. And Jeremy actually got to do an evangelistic message. Really interesting. The drummer is, I can't see him there, but there's a 7-year-old. He could play the drums like nobody could. And he actually sung a song in Spanish. Really, really good. But that was our first Sunday there. And really interesting. Church there, not like our church here. We're talking about 3 hours. So maybe, yeah, maybe 4. Next. There's another outside picture of, I call it the college that for the pastors. Okay. That is a different volcano. There is 40 volcanoes down on the west coast of the Pacific Ocean down there. There's usually a half a dozen active. Next. Okay, on them islands, I told you 365, there was a doctor that bought an island, and he's passed away since, but it's self-sufficient. There's banana trees on it and stuff like that. He bought 2 monkeys. He put one's called Susie, and the other one, I forget what the other one was called. But the only reason I remember Susie because that's my sister. You can see the monkey there. But anyway, the monkeys have this whole island themselves, and it's paid for and everything. So these monkeys have this whole island, and that's one of the attractions. So, and of course, I found that interesting because of Susie. Anyway, we got the zip line the last day, and they wanted to know who all was interested. And of course, I want to jump out of an airplane, but I was interested in zip lining, so I got to go zip lining, and that was really fun. I mean, we got to zip line 3 different times on this, and really interesting. But everybody on the crew actually zip line. There I am swinging a machete again. They should have never gave me a machete. Next. Okay, here's our crew that we took. Again, it was a good crew. We did God's work. We got along good. There was no arguing, no fighting. We were truly blessed. There was no injuries. I can't speak enough. I've been on mission trips where there's been fighting, there's been arguing, there's been, it was a blessing. Next. That's it? Okay, see if I wrote anything down here. That's pretty much it. That's all I have. But again, I just want to thank, we accomplished what we went to do. We got the trees cut down, what the missionary wanted us to do. We got the painting done. He would have had us do more, but that was pretty much at the end. Thank you. But it was just everything. That was it. That was all. It was done. It was ready to be finished up, and other than the cleanup as far as putting the boxes and stuff away, they're ready for the pastors to come in. They're going to have their grand opening. So we thought we was going to be doing some masonry work, but the group before us did some a little extra work. So God is good, and I just thank you and praise God.
It was exciting. The exciting part for me is this is a trip that will be able to be continued, because what Pastor Thomas was explaining to us on this trip, they are going to be, there's a possibility for pastors to actually go down and spend some time and teach in the college to train the other pastors. So I thought that was so cool. And I said, listen, I'll go, but make sure it's their winter, because I don't think he sweat. I'm not going to make it because I'm sweating all the time here when it's 70 degrees. If I go 90 down there with humidity, I don't know. But it was really exciting to see all of the different things. You really don't understand. When he said they don't waste anything, they waste nothing. Here, we don't think anything of throwing things away. Oh, that's okay. We don't need it. We'll just throw it away. And in that country, they don't do that. A lot of countries, they don't do that. One thing he didn't mention was the sewage. You mentioned a little bit, but he said the sewage is right there with you. It's not like ours. It doesn't go down a pipe and then run somewhere underground where you don't see it. Even in Africa, there was the road, there was a side, what they call their sidewalks, and then there was a little ravine where the sewage ran down. You walked across sticks, like tree branches that they had made a bridge out of, and then walked to the marketplace where they were cooking right beside it. And that's kind of how, he said, he mentioned the sewage when he come home about that there too. It's not like our countries. And I said, listen, I encourage everybody. I want to really start doing stuff from here and sending teams out, because God says go into all the world. That means we could go to Florida and do a work project. I know there's a group going that maybe they went already. They went to Florida to a retirement village to help repair some things there. I want to start sending people out from here. And everybody needs to do it once. Listen, don't say, God, don't send me to Africa. That was me, and guess where he sent me? Africa. Okay?
I did forget something. But Lake Nicaragua is right there in Nicaragua, but it's 1/3 of Lake Erie. And all the sewerage runs down the street and all over. You can see like dead birds and stuff like that. But anyway, they're trying to correct that, but it's been gone for so long. But up in Granada, there's a lake and there's good fish in it and everything. And down in Miagua, you can't fish in there or nothing. It's so polluted and it's so beautiful. If you look at it, it just looks so beautiful. And when they get these heavy rains in the wintertime, which is it's now, and into December, January, and February, they get the heavy rains. It washes up into there, and it pollutes, and it's slowly polluting that. And they're trying to prevent it, but it's gone for so long that it's a national disaster. But what I wanted to say also, in 1972, we seen a lot of devastation there in Miagua when they had their earthquake. It was a 6.6 earthquake that happened down there. And they had a Catholic church on their square down there to where they still never tore it apart or whatever. And that's when Roberto Clemente was flying in, and he crashed. He was bringing aid down there, and he's pretty big down there as far as they have some statues of him and stuff like that. But anyway, they've never really recuperated from the devastation of 72. And the president down there it's becoming a communist country, and they need a lot of prayer. Their religion and stuff like that is being prosecuted, and this is what I really wanted to say. If you make donations and stuff like that, 33% of whatever you take in down there has to go to the government. So if you send me $100 down there as a missionary, you got to turn in 33% of that. So, and if you don't, it's called money laundering, and poof, you're going to jail. And I was telling some of the men, they just released 165 priests, pastors, and stuff like that, and exiled them out of the country. And that's what they were in jail for money laundering. And they just made things up because they weren't following what the government wanted them to do. And you don't dare come against the government down there. There was 300 students that were protesting against the government, just had signs up, voting for the next guy that was running. And here it was like an Ohio State University, but it's their university. And it was pretty big university. And the government sent their military up. They disagreed with it. And 300 of the students ran into the church next door. Well, the military didn't like it, and they opened fire on the church, and they took care of them 300 students. And unfortunately, the 300 students are no longer with us. So you don't come against their government. So we are, in a sense, blessed and unfortunately, I think it's coming here too eventually. So, but that's what I wanted to share.
We really don't know how blessed we are. But listen, if we don't do something, we're going to lose those blessings too. We need to be praying and doing our part in what we're supposed to do for God. So thank you all, really. So many of you gave, and you're the ones that made it possible. So you're part of that partnership with what he did. And we just are thankful for you guys, because he'd have never made it if you guys wouldn't have helped him along the way. So we are thankful for that. We just wanted to share a little bit with you about what his trip did entail. It was very interesting. There's more. Someday he can sit down, and talk to